It's been over 500 days since Harumasa was first introduced to Zenless Zone and though many have rerun before him, Harumasa was one of the unlucky, though technically special few, to have pretty much never returned, despite expectations to do so. That said, never say never, and wouldn't you believe it, Harumasa is finally back on this special triple banner. With this, we have a crazy amount to catch up on, as many of his best builds, teams, and play has changed, alongside of course a potential unlock being added to him too. As usual though, footage from today's video is from the creator beta server, so things are subject to change, but if you haven't already, subscribe to support the channel and tell me what you've missed most about Harumasa. But first, a word from today's sponsor, Enjoy GM. If you're looking to recharge for your favorite gacha or even a title like Wuthering Waves, Enjoy GM has you covered. The process of recharging is quick. You select your game and enter your UID, no account logins needed, and it's pretty fast with instant delivery. Right now, new users will also gain an 8% site-wide coupon, and when you apply stacked coupons, this means that a 6,480 pack can drop to as low as 80 USD depending on your region. They also support tons of local and global payment options, are fully PCI DSS certified, and maintain a high rating on Trustpilot. Check out my exclusive link pinned down below to grab your discount though, and thanks again to Enjoy GM for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back into it. Now in regards to Harumasa's gameplay goals and general play, he's actually quite in depth, though the payout can definitely feel worth it, especially if you're committed to learning him. That said, if you aren't familiar with him, Harumasa is an electric attacker focused on dealing lots of damage during stun. His main goal though is to generate electro quivers, which then apply electro prisons to enemies, and once enough stacks are applied, the enemy becomes X-marked, allowing Harumasa to then use his powerful and enhanced dash attacks. Because of this, most of his gameplay comes down to setting up before a stun, then fitting as many dash attacks, EX specials, and his ultimate into the stun window as possible. To understand what's changed and what to expect of the brand new Harumasa post potential unlock, and now that so many crit-based buffing agents have been released, let's take a moment to break down his skills. Harumasa's special resource is electro quivers, which he generates through various skills and actions before using them on the field. Most importantly about this though is that the number of electro quivers that are available determines how many dash attacks that he can perform, but to be clear, only 6 electro quivers can exist on the field at any time. With this, Harumasa's core passive increases the crit rate of his dash attack, Chasing Thunder, and ultimate by 25%, and whenever his dash attack or ultimate lands a crit, he gains 1 of up to 6 Gleaming Edge stacks. His dash attack can also grant up to 3 stacks, with each stack increasing the damage of his dash attack, Chasing Thunder, and ultimate again by 12%. His additional ability activates when a stun or anomaly agent is present, and with it, Harumasa's damage will increase by 40% when attacking enemies that are stunned or affected by attribute anomaly. This is part of the reason that you can actually find decent success with Harumasa, alongside the likes of characters like Yuzuha or even Rina, who of course also buffs electric DPS in general. That said, additionally, whenever his Falling Feather hits enemies under either of these conditions, it also applies 2 stacks of Electro Prison, which is very nice for his dash attacks and overall damage scaling. Harumasa's basic attack is a 5-hit combo that deals physical and electric damage, but the 5th hit will specifically generate 2 Electro Quivers, which is quite important to remember, as this is again one of the ways that you'll fuel your dash attacks and your ability to deal damage. That said, after having used his chain attack for the first time, the next initial 5th hit from his basic attack will instead generate 6 electro quivers. After using the 5th hit of his basic, special attack, EX special, or chain attack though, Harumasa can also hold his EX special to fire Falling Feather at enemies dealing electric damage. He can then also hold basic attack to lock onto enemies before releasing it to fire, and this will deal electric damage as well. As for his EX special, this is quite simple both in usage and understanding. Put plainly, he deals a decent amount of damage with said ability, but more importantly, this generates 6 electro quivers and is one of the main ways that he'll set up quivers before a stun window. Now as for his assist and dodge, these abilities are pretty straightforward, though Harumasa's dash attack is where a lot of his damage and unique gameplay becomes more relevant. When an enemy is X-marked, Harumasa will enter his awakened state and gains an enhanced dash attack that quickly rushes him towards an enemy and deals electric damage. That said, each dash attack will consume 2 Electro Prison stacks, and this can be used repeatedly until fewer than 2 stacks remain. Against stunned enemies though, these attacks will also trigger Chasing Thunder for additional electric damage. As for his chain attack, this unleashes a powerful piercing attack that deals massive electric damage while also generating 6 electro quivers. But lastly, Harumasa technically has 2 ultimates. Zanshin fires an arrow forward, dealing massive electric damage, after which Scattered Blossoms will automatically activate to unleash a wide area piercing attack that also deals a pretty good amount of damage. As for skill priority, you'll upgrade Harumasa's core passive and dodge equally first, followed by his chain attack, with his EX special and basic coming afterwards, and assist being Harumasa's generally lowest priority, though again, as a DPS, Having the additional levels on all of his skills are pretty important as they give him dazed and also damage. Let's move now to Harumasa's combos. To start, when you aren't fighting against a stunned enemy, his combo is pretty simple. Basic 5, Falling Feather and hold his basic, dash attack 3 times and repeat, or you can use Falling Feather whenever you're filling the anomaly bar. As a side note, before a fight starts, you can actually repeat basic 5 until 6 quivers are on the ground, and then you can also begin the fight with a Falling Feather, which again is your held basic, dash attack 3 times, use your EX special, and then dash attack 3 times following again. Where things change and get a little bit more complicated is inside of a stun window with Harumasa. To be clear, Harumasa definitely feels like a character who benefits much more than other agents with manual chain activated, and this is especially obvious when using his stun combo. With this, you'll start with a chain attack from Harumasa, 3 dash attacks, hold basic, 4 dash attacks, EX special, dash attack 3 more times, EX special, ultimate followed by his second ultimate which automatically casts, 3 dash attacks after this, and then finish with the 4th and 5th hit of his basic. Now honestly, and speaking from experience, this is not as easy as it sounds, though again this is mostly dependent also on the support that you have, as some agents do allow you to increase the stun duration of a boss, and consequently this becomes a much easier combo to complete, assuming that the boss is stunned for longer. Now let's move to Harumasa's build and what's changed with version 3.1. Zanshin Herb Case is Harumasa's signature W engine, and this features a 48% crit damage main stat. This also features a passive that increases his crit rate by 10% and also improves his dash attack damage by 40%, though to add on to this, whenever any character applies an anomaly or stuns an enemy, Harumasa gains another 10 crit rate, which again is a pretty significant amount of stats being given. Alternatively to this though, Harumasa has other strong limited engines that he has access to. Knight's Extolment and Severed Innocence both provide crit damage as their main stat, and their passives grant 64 and 50 additional crit damage respectively. However, Harumasa can't take advantage of Knight's Extolment Ice Res effect, while he also can't benefit from Severed Innocence's additional crit damage or 20% electric damage boost either, as he does not deal aftershock damage. With this, you could also consider something like Cordish Germina or even Heartstring Nocturne, which are more crit rate focused options, but these both provide 24% crit rate as their main stat. That said, Seed Signature Cordish Germina also increases Harumasa's crit rate by another 15%, while also granting another buff that increases his electric damage by 12.5%, stacking up to 2 times. Once he's stacked this buff to max though, he also gains a buff to his basic attack and ultimate damage, where it will now ignore 20% of the enemy's defense. Heartstring Nocturne meanwhile simply increases his crit damage by 50%, though again Harumasa can't use the 25% fire res effect of said engine. Brimstone alternatively to this though is a great non-limited option, providing 30% attack as its main stat, but its passive will further increase Harumasa's attack by 3.5% whenever he uses a basic, dash attack, or dodge counter, which obviously isn't very difficult, stacking up to 8 times. Finally though, you could also use Marcato Desire, which is another great option as it's available through the shop and provides 20 crit rate as its main stat. After using an EX special or chain though, Harumasa gains 6% attack with another 6% attack gained when attacking enemies affected by an attribute anomaly, which of course makes this especially strong if you end up using someone like Yuzuha alongside Harumasa, but if you already have access to Soul Exuvia, which is Pyrois' W engine, this is also a very strong free-to-play option as it provides 30% attack as its main stat alongside 20% crit rate as its passive. Harumasa also has several strong 4-piece disk drive options though, with Shadow Harmony being one of his top choices. That said, you could also use Thunder Metal as this is another very strong option, and it increases his attack by 20% as long as the enemy is shocked, which does mean that you usually want to use this alongside someone like Rina, or assumes that you may also have someone like Yuzuha or another electric character on your team. Otherwise, Woodpecker Electrode technically works too, as it increases his attack, or you could also use something like Hormone Punk and Puffer Electro, but these are pretty conditional, require you to be used with Dylan or some combination of the two, where you do have to manage these stacks more carefully. As for 2-piece options though, Harumasa can of course use Branch and Blade Song, Woodpecker Electro, Thunder Metal, Puffer Electro, Astral Voice, or Shadow Harmony, as all of these provide damage to him, and you should simply use whatever gives you the best number of stats. As for main stats, you'll use crit damage or attack percent on slot 4, electric damage, pen ratio, or attack percent on slot 5, and attack again on slot 6. As for substats, you'll prioritize crit rate and crit damage followed by attack, with flat attack and pen ratio as your lower priorities, but as for stats that you'll be looking for, you should aim for around 2,800 attack, roughly 55 crit rate when using a signature, and around 180 to 200 crit damage to round out his total DPS. If you're just starting out, however, settling for 2,700 attack, 50 crit rate, and 150 crit damage will suffice, while you're looking for better substats or better W engines. Now let's move to Harumasa's teams, though honestly this does feel slightly more limited as he does value stun damage increases, attack based buffs, and other electric agents or electric specific buffers in general. Before we go further though, a bit of a disclaimer that I am definitely not the best Harumasa player to grace this game, and genuinely playing him and running him through proper routes is much harder than a lot of the other agents in Zenless. That said, I did run a number of teams, trials, and experiments with him, and here are my findings, though other lineups and combinations are definitely both possible and viable. For stun and support teams, having Harumasa, Norma, and Suna together was the strongest lineup, scoring a 29,500 in Shield defense and a 30,800 in Deadly Assault. Dylan was much closer here with a 28,100 in Shield and a 29,400 in Deadly Assault, and while these two specific lineups felt like they could interchange in terms of score or who's quote-unquote better or worse depending on the boss, Trigger as the third option here for a stunner actually made the teams fall further behind at a 26,000 and a 27,000 respectively. Overall though, Norma and Dylan were definitely the best performers for Harumasa in this sort of team. For double attacker teams, Harumasa, Trigger, and Orphe scored 23,000 in Shield defense and 18,000 in Deadly Assault, and the Seed and Trigger team by comparison had a 22,400 in Shield with a 20,500 in Deadly Assault. Now admittedly, both of these teams definitely felt a bit weaker compared to most double attacker teams in general, and though Harumasa could definitely quote-unquote fit with these sort of lineups, I definitely wouldn't recommend it either for the Seed teams or even for Harumasa, as either Cecilia and Ye Guang would probably perform better for someone like Seed, or you'd probably prefer something like a solo DPS Harumasa lineup to actually score higher in the endgame modes. As for free-to-play lineups, you could also use Harumasa, Lycon, and Rina, which was one of the strongest free-to-play options, scoring a 19,600 in Shield defense and an 18,300 in Deadly Assault. That said, you could also use something like Ambi and Rina together with an 18,300 and 16,000, but honestly, Ambi really wasn't doing much here. Meanwhile, something like Pulchra and Lucy was also still technically viable, though it had the lowest score of 17,700 in Shiyu and just barely made an A rank at 14,000 respectively. But overall, again, Lycon and Rina, alongside some of the other combinations of Rina +1, were definitely the best free-to-play performance for Harumasa if you're looking for that. Now speaking honestly, trying to compare Harumasa to Seed, zzzero Ambi, Cecilia, or even Anton will kind of feel rough for him, and though Harumasa is clearly stronger at the moment than someone like Anton, sure, putting him against the likes of Seed, zzzero Ambi, or even Cecilia will lean things in their favor, as buffs and bosses are much more catered towards these new limited releases than really they are for him. This of course also assumes that you're already willing to accept the learning curve of Harumasa, who's definitely more difficult to pilot than some of these other options, but to be clear, Harumasa does still differ in purpose and playstyle to these other electric agents, and with this, should there ever be a dodge or dash attack focused boss, he's sure to feel much more competitive and possibly even beat his peers. Until then though, he's a decent electric attack option, I guess, who does have several different lineups that he has access to in terms of his teams. Now let's move to Harumasa's Mindscapes. His first increases the limit of Electro Prison stacks applied by his basic, and additionally, whenever an Electro Quiver is triggered, an extra attack will be fired at enemies. His second Mindscape grants him stacks of Electro Blitz after using his chain or ultimate, and each stack of this consumed will increase the damage of his dash attack. As for his fourth Mindscape, this extends the duration of Electro Prison, while his dash attack will now grant additional decibels, and to add to this, his ultimate will now immediately apply the max number of Electro Prison stacks to all enemies. Lastly though, Harumasa's 6 Mindscapes allows him to ignore a decent portion of the enemy's electric res, but this is on the condition that they're stunned or affected by an anomaly. Additionally, every 12 hits from Harumasa will also trigger an electromagnetic explosion that deals electric damage based on his attack. When evaluating Harumasa's Mindscapes though, M1 and M2 are roughly a 17 and 11% overall DPS increase, and with it, if you're deciding between unlocking M1 or pulling for his signature, the signature would generally be the better investment. However, if you're someone who already has someone like Seed, her W engine is actually quite strong on him, and again, I'd definitely recommend instead getting his M1. As for his Mindscape 6, this offers a solid 35% overall DPS increase for his final upgrade, but let's be honest, if you're getting M6 Harumasa, who cares how much you actually gain DPS wise? Now let's move to Harumasa's pros and cons. For pros, he's technically high ceiling with a medium reward, which is kind of a pro. He has many good W engine options. He can pair actually quite well with Yuzuha surprisingly, while also having a decent number of options team-wise. He has several sets that he has access to, but of course, as usual, he does also have cons. To start, his skill floor is higher, especially if you're someone who plays casually. His combos can sometimes even require you to plan out when to activate anomalies, which can feel fairly uncommon for attack agents, but also other electric attack agents are honestly easier to play and deal higher damage, or you could honestly find greater value out of other other attack agents who simply brute force or don't care about element advantage, and they'd still probably perform just about, if not better than Harumasa. Now, of course, Harumasa was an agent that many players had access to, as he was gifted to the player base for free in Zenless' first year. However, if you're someone who's missed him or started after he was available, you might actually be curious whether he's worth pulling for. Honestly though, unless you truly like Harumasa's gameplay or design, there really isn't that much that he offers that is truly unique from other electric attack agents or even crit DPS in general. With this though, I definitely found his gameplay to be much more involved and skillful, which can definitely be appealing depending on the audience. I believe this Harumasa banner is better suited for those looking to reach his second Mindscape, or if you're looking to reach M6 with him, as otherwise his scores and value feel much more niche, and otherwise feels more like a skip. That's everything that you need to know about Harumasa and his update though. Thanks again for watching, I'll see you all next time, stay safe, stay healthy, good night.